The Consulting Success podcast is powered by the Clarity Coaching Program. If you'd like to work directly with the Consulting Success team and receive personal coaching and support to optimize and grow your consulting business, marketing, and revenue, visit consultingsuccess.com to find out more and apply.
Welcome to the Consulting Success Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Zapersky. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the world of elite consultants, where you'll learn the strategies, tactics, and mindset to grow a highly profitable and successful consulting business.
Hey everyone, it is Michael Zapersky, and welcome back to another episode of the Consulting Success Podcast. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Sarah McVanel. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so pumped to chat about success when it comes to this. It's important narrative.
Yeah. So you are a recognition expert, a professional speaker, coach, author. You're the president and founder of Greatness Magnified, where you help leaders leverage the power of recognition. And you have clients, many clients, and some that are very well known, like Oracle, Shopify, the government of Canada. You are located in a beautiful area, Niagara on the Lake, or I guess the wine country of Ontario, which is such a beautiful part of the world. So again, a big welcome to you, Sarah. And I want to start with associations, because you've done, from what I can tell, and what from the research that the team has put together, a lot with associations. You know, you've leveraged associations to build your business. Could you start off by talking about the impact that associations has had on your business?
Well, the great thing is associations have this really wide group in terms of a membership base. So if you're consulting and have a very specific solution that you can offer, there's usually an association, perhaps dozens of associations who need that exact solution. My area of expertise being recognition, as you had mentioned, the way in which I can help organizations, different associations solve that problem can shift over time. So right now it's the Great Resignation, and industries like the tech sector and healthcare, not-for-profits, they have a massive turnover crisis. They tend to be the associations that are seeking out the type of support that I and my team can provide. And yet that's not always the way it's been. So for those who are listening in and they're looking to really see how do I anchor myself, it's not that you have to align yourself with certain associations. I mean, that may benefit you serve the hospitality sector and maybe even subspecialties within that, which is totally cool too. Many of us, though, as consultants and experts, we can serve many, many associations. And from a sales benefit is that all the people in your audience are potentially customers as well, because they belong to other associations and then they belong to often organizations. So, I mean, we can get into that part too, if you like.
Yeah. I mean, would you say that being part of or presenting to associations has contributed significantly or just a little bit? Like, how would you rate the impact of you showing up and being part or being present at these associations on the growth of your business and revenue coming into your business?
Right now, post-COVID, 75% of my business, which has grown since COVID, has been from repeat business, repeat referrals. So some of that comes from my corporate days and early on, in that those wonderful clients have kept hiring me. Although I would say a far greater majority are people who have seen me. And so they may have seen me speak for this insurance group or this healthcare group or a tech group. And so, yes, there are certainly companies, as you had mentioned at the top of this conversation. However, the majority of those referrals are people who hear me. And that's why a lot of consultants should really consider it being a speaker, because you're on the stage in front, delivering your value to so many people who then could dive deeper from a company standpoint in benefiting from your expertise by then being able to execute on the solutions that you bring to them. So, a key thing to think about is how will them experiencing this content in a breakout session, in a keynote session for 1 hour, make them so hungry, because the solution, they can almost feel it like it's within my grasp, but they need to work with you more. And we just closed our biggest contract of the year here, where you're interviewing me early February. I'm not sure when this is airing, but you're interviewing me early February. We closed our first big contract, which was almost 6 figures, in the first month of this year. And it was based on somebody who heard me speak for 1 hour at a keynote, and he thought, my organization needs that. We had 3 conversations and it resulted in a significant contract. So
Let's say that, one of our listeners right now is a real expert. They're very good at what they do. Maybe they already have an established business, but they want to grow. They want to get in front of more ideal clients. And they're listening right now to everything that you're sharing, Sarah, and thinking to themselves, yeah, I know I can see the value of getting in front of an association, because there could be, tens or hundreds or thousands of ideal clients in one room, or joining a Zoom call. Where's the starting point? Like, where should they begin to actually get into an association? How would you kind of counsel or recommend that they go about landing their first speaking engagement or workshop engagement, or just getting into an association where they can then get in front of ideal clients?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Depending on the type of expertise you have, the answer may be super obvious. So to use the example I provided about the hospitality sector, let's say you work mainly in fast food and rapid food delivery. So there's probably a whole bunch of associations in that swath. And then there's Michael Port actually wrote a book called The Referable Speaker. And he talks about how your trunk of your business then has branches. So you may start speaking for this small group of associations, and then the people in that audience recommend you to other like associations, because each one, that restaurant industry also then has suppliers, and then you start speaking in that, and then so they can all scaffold onto each other. For others who don't necessarily have a niche in an industry, you can actually purchase association lists. You can hire somebody to do some research, to give you a short list. I'm happy to share with you how I got my start in working with associations.
Yeah, no, I'd love that, because I want people to be able to see, like, is it as simple as just sending an email to the executive director of the association, or is there a different process? Just like, if we could get as detailed as possible, what was your experience like, or what would you recommend as the best practice for those who want to land those opportunities?
Well, gone are the days where you can send your tape, and I use that word very intentionally, because back in the, in the olden days of speaking, you would have a CD or a tape and you'd send it to associations, and they would all sit around when they had a conference and they'd watch it. No. Same with if you have what we call a one sheet, where it has your talk and a little bit about your bio and sending it off. That's not good enough. People are too busy. They're too also attention, perhaps challenged, to do all the work. You have to make it so easy for busy people to make decisions. And if you think about this, deciding who your keynote speaker or keynote speakers are, that's a pretty high stakes decision. So you want to make it so that they can feel comfortable, they trust you, they like you. So you want to know what I've been doing lately? I will give you the inside scoop. I've been sending videos. I use an app called SendSpark, and I send a video, and it'll be something like, "Hey, Michael, I see that you are the president of the Consulting Association of Canada. Oh my gosh, I so valued in your last newsletter where you talked about the importance of recognizing your members. Totally 100%. I am with you. In fact, maybe deepening that message would be valuable at your conference that's coming up next May. If you want to have a quick conversation, I put a link below for a coffee chat. In the meantime, thank you so much for what you're doing. I appreciate it. Take good care out there. Bye." How long was that? 1 minute?
Yeah.
And the video gets embedded in the email. And all you have to do in your subject line is say something like, your conference is so important for your members that's coming up in May. And so they're going to open it because there's some curiosity, it's about the members, and your video is grateful. It's helpful. You've obviously done a little bit of homework. And then I use SendSpark because then I can see if people watched it. And I can see how many times they watched it. And if maybe they forwarded it to other people, because if probably if 9 people have watched it, there's a good chance that the planning committee, it's made their way around there.
How are you finding that? Like, I love that approach. And that's something that, we share with clients a lot, even in terms of the sales process or outreach to ideal clients, just to bring that personal touch, which I love, and doing it in a customized way as opposed to a kind of mass automation. How are you finding that's working when it comes to associations? Are you getting a positive response? Like, if you were to send 10 of those, how many do you think you would expect to hear a reply from?
We have pretty much an 100% open rate. When I say pretty much, is I haven't actually charted it, but I see in real time when people open it. People are creating opportunities where they maybe didn't even have a keynote spot, or they didn't even have an event. I had an amazing client. I did one of those videos, and I genuinely wanted to follow up on how well 2 events that were delivered previously. And they created an event that they hadn't even planned to have. So, just know that not only is it helpful in being able to get an event that's scheduled, they may decide that this message is so valuable, your expertise is so valuable, they can't wait until the next conference. So it's really successful and it's so fast and easy. I mean, what's the harm if you waste an hour and you don't get a booking? They will remember you. Remember, the medium is your message. So if your medium is delivering value through the spoken word, then speak your word. Yes, you can type your words. However, everybody can type. How many people can send a compelling message that entertains them and captures them for 1 minute? Because then subconsciously they're thinking, well, if you got my attention for a minute and it's an email, what might this, person be able to do on the stage? And none of it's manipulation. I hope nobody thinks when I'm talking about this that we're manipulating people to open emails. This is not clickbait, click through. This is conversation.
It's a great differentiation strategy, and it's personable. And it does take a little bit of time, so it doesn't scale, quote unquote, scale as other things may. But in a world where one ideal client, the average value of an engagement is significant, you're not selling $100, course or a book or something of that nature, or a pair of underwear. You're selling something that has significant value. Therefore, it makes sense to invest a little bit of time to do things like that. So I think that's fantastic. You mentioned, Sarah, that during the workshops or keynotes or engagements that you have with these associations, you're really focused on providing value so that they're feeling so close, like, this is really great. I can see how we're almost at that next step, or we're almost at that breakthrough, that insight. And that's why we need to bring Sarah in to go to that deeper level of engagement. Is there anything else that you do either before, during, or after an event that you find is just a critical best practice? It's a tool that is essential in your tool belt that really helps to create great results?
I always film a welcome video that people can use out in their promotion of the conference. I talk about, how much effort went into it. Again, it's very short. It's maybe 2 minutes long. I encourage people to register if that's one of the messages that a client wants. If it's not registration required, I talk about, how much effort went into it. I'll put from a consultant standpoint, the benefit is that is not only a high relationship value thing. You and only you can do that because you're the speaker for them. They don't expect it because they didn't ask for it and they don't pay for it. So it's adding, to the psychological contract, right? And the theory of reciprocity is if you've done something nice for me, I've done something nice for you. They did something nice for you, hired you. You did something nice for them, filmed a video. It's not equal. However, psychologically, we're starting to balance out the relationship equity there. In the body, I put my videos on Vimeo so that you keep people on your channel. You put it on YouTube, they now all of a sudden can go and watch whatever their latest thing that they watched last time and then get distracted away from the conference. Keep them on your channel, which means you can send them to other related videos. Like if you like that topic, maybe you can have a little playlist of related short videos or vlogs related to the topic you're going to speak about. Again, further reinforcing your expertise. And at the bottom in the description, not only include the description of what they can expect, maybe you want to encourage them. Let's say your session is sponsored by an actual sponsor, right? You could put a link, special thanks to Philips Oral Healthcare, for sponsoring the session, and send it back to their website. That's total value add. If you want people to go and let's say get a downloadable resource, put it in the description. One person may actually bother to look at the description. However, one person is better than no people. That's just one strategy of a whole bunch that I use, but see how it scaffolds all these other opportunities on top of that one strategy.
Yeah. So the other thing that I think comes up oftentimes is people might be great delivering a very powerful talk, right? They're giving immense value, but time and time again, I'll speak with people who don't necessarily generate a lot of leads from or a lot of engagements from that talk. Is there anything that you find that you do specifically during the talk or after the talk that tends to create more lead flow or more conversations and therefore more clients? Like, do you use a very specific intentional call to action? Do you do something afterwards? I'd love any kind of insights and experiences on that.
Well, certainly I use QR codes that I customize. I use something called QR Monkey. And so I'll put the association, actually their icon in the center, and I'll send them over to some bonus value. It could be a survey that exists on somebody else's website, or, a downloadable resource, my copies of my book, e-copies of my book. So that's certainly, one thing that you can do, but more so it's the prep. I changed the slides to have images that represent that organization. So if I'm speaking for childcare versus I'm speaking for call management organizations, the deck, the same key points are hit on, maybe a story or two are tweaked. However, the images say, she gets us. She cares about us. Imagine if it were just stock images and they're all very random. People sitting at desks typing, but none of the people in your audience actually have work environments like that. So that's a key thing, is you need people to feel like you get them and that you've done the work in customizing. If you don't know the association audience that you're speaking for, go and interview. Ask the planning committee, could I just have 5 superstars? I want to spend 15 minutes racking their brain about like the most important things people need to leave this session with. And that's can be your only thing you talk about. And then you quote them. You pull in, some of the, as I was speaking with Michael, he mentioned how hard you're working on such and such. Well, wouldn't you be glad to have a solution on this? You would have shared it anyway. The point is, you made that person who spent a few minutes with you the hero, and, obviously ask their permission that you can mention them, because occasionally some people they're very humble and they don't want it. Most of the time people don't mind. And then, now you have those stories. So now when you go back and you get, you brought back by the same, not necessarily another one, the same association, because they have loved you so much that, you get a chance to continue to reinforce your message, maybe at a deeper level or slightly different take on the topic. And by deepening that and through that connection, people feel something on a different level. Everyone can deliver content where we think about it. However, the way our memories work is we encode much deeper on an emotional level. So if I'm delivering a keynote to you and there's a moment where you just always, she gets me. Like, she gets what my biggest pain point in my business without making me feel guilty, but like from a place of empathy, people are going to remember that. As opposed to, I may have the best 6-point strategy, but if it's just 6 points, it's forgettable. You can't be forgettable. If you're forgettable, then you should be in a breakout session, because people, that's where they're taking notes and they're looking for the how-tos. If you want to be brought into the organization, people have to believe, without even necessarily knowing, that you are the one that they can trust to solve a solution or an issue that's keeping them up at night, robbing their profits, stealing their people. Like, big time stakes have to be on the line here.
While we work with a lot of seasoned and experienced consultants here at Consulting Success, I'm often contacted by new early stage consultants. Invariably, the question I'm asked is, what are the steps I should take to become a successful consultant and grow my consulting business to my first 6 figures per year? Well, I'm excited to announce that we've opened the doors for our Momentum program. This is our most popular program for early stage consultants, and it has helped almost 1,000 consultants to start, run, and grow successful consulting businesses. It gives you the step-by-step plan to help you with your messaging, your fees, and pricing strategies, how to win more proposals, how to go to market more effectively, developing a marketing system to generate leads consistently, and so much more. And right now, until September the 19th, you can sign up for Momentum and get 50% off the regular price by going to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO. Only 100 spots are available to join Momentum and get 50% off. This deal is only available until September the 19th or until all 100 spots are gone. We won't be opening up new spots in this program for several months, so don't wait. Go to consultingsuccess.com/audio. That's consultingsuccess.com/audio, AUDIO. Yeah, great advice. I want to transition to your business and so moving away from associations for a moment. You offer speaking, training, coaching services. Do you find when you look across, the lifetime of your clients or just the years that you've been in business, that most clients tend to start with one of those as opposed to the other? Like, is it typically coming from speaking first and then into one of the others, or is it training first and then speaking? How do you find that kind of flow of services?
Yeah. For me, what we market, and I actually have a speaker manager who also does her own prospecting on my behalf as well. We lead with speaking because, to all of your great questions you've asked here, is it leads to all the other things. So people will hear me and they'll say, I have to ask you a favor. Would you consider having a conversation with me about coaching? And there's only so much capacity I have to be able to have coaching clients. I never have more than 6 at any given time. And sometimes the ask will be very different. Do you ever, coach somebody who's possibly going to, have they want to be a speaker, but they're going to work in HR as a human resource officer for the next 5 years? Well, that would be a very specific thing to have on my website. So know that by people hearing you as a speaker, if you choose to do that, everybody has their own formula, but I would say what's been most successful in my business, speaker as a credible expert in a very specific area of expertise. And then it leads to other things that could be broader than that area of expertise. It's also more scalable because you can always be the face of that expertise as a keynote speaker. And as your time gets compressed, that's maybe where you increase your speaking fee. And then others can be delivering the training, coaching, consulting services as your mentees or as subcontractors that you trust and you value and will take care of your clients. But it's very hard to go the other way around, right? Like if you're the trainer, it's hard to then have a front person for speaking.
Have you gone down that path yourself, or is it an area that you're considering in terms of having others deliver, let's say, training or coaching services using your framework or your system, your IP? Is that something that you've done, or it's something that you've thought about?
Yeah, I have subcontract coaching, in particular when it's not a coaching arrangement where I think I could do my best and when can be a conflict of interest. If I'm already coaching the CEO and there's somebody else in the organization, probably not a good idea that I coach people at different levels of the organization. Also, when there's a volume issue, it could be a contract. So that's part of it. From a training standpoint, what we've now started to put in our proposals when people request that, we'll say, these are suggested based on what you're looking for. It seems like these would be a great fit to the sessions Sarah delivers. There could be others that we negotiate that are more important, or others that you would like to see. And then we will find an amazing expert. It won't be any impact to the investment you've already made. And I use the word investment, not cost, the investment that you've made. So we put right in our contracts that we work with a group of other subject matter experts and in their field.
How have you been, what's the experience with that? Has it been going positive, or is it still people typically still want? Where are they to this point so far as you've been working through that process?
People want to start as they go on, so if you started as the coach for the entire middle management team, let's say, they probably don't want to switch mid-contract to having other people. So know that you're trying to build the business of where you want to be. So if you're at scale, or you're at capacity now, or you're almost there, that's probably when you want to subcontract, because all it takes is one more contract and then you don't get lunch with your family or dinner with your family anymore. And you potentially have to turn business away. So that's one thing. The other thing is, as I had mentioned in the contract, I may end up delivering all those sessions. However, I want to reserve the right to negotiate with my client for them to be happy. I'm not saying it's like I'm going to send in my people and it's a surprise. You want to sort of prepare. And again, it's about the relationship, right? So our relationship is that I will always do right by you. So I will give you, even if you have to give them options. For this session, I think these people will be extraordinary. I vetted them already. I'm confident they'll be a good fit. Most people, they trust you. You're the one that they've invested in, and they're too busy. They even at the beginning of a contract where they say, yes, I want to make sure we vet all of our trainers, that we have them all go through this, our committee wants to review they don't have time for that.
And one thing that does come up, Sarah, in this kind of situation is that the consultant feels, the expert feels, it's my IP. I'm being brought on because I'm the expert. And at times there's some resistance or hesitation on the part of consultants to have others deliver that IP. Clearly, those who have been through that process know that of course, what matters most is the end result. It's not about who's delivering it. This is why if you look at any established consulting firm, you'll never see that the CEO or the founders is doing all the delivery. That's just not possible, right? They wouldn't have been able to grow if that was the case. But for someone who's listening, joining us right now, and is maybe wrestling with that same idea that, yeah, I know I want to build a team, or I need to have others also deliver because I can't do all the delivery myself, but they're just feeling a bit of that hesitation because they feel, the belief is that I'm the expert, will my clients really pay for somebody else to deliver that? What advice would you offer them, or is there anything that you did to overcome any of that resistance that you may have kind of felt or faced that time?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I would say ask yourself, what is the type of business that you want to have? Do you love doing the work? So you don't mind working in the business? Then great. You don't need to build a huge business. Do the work that you love. You only get one go around in life, so it might as well be the best go around. Build your business according to your design. However, if you're thinking, I don't know if I'm going to want to be doing this forever, or not every part of my curriculum do I love. I love this part. I love that part, but the stuff in the middle, or this content over here, or that audience, there may be a particular audience or another language, right? Your program is so amazing that people who speak multiple languages are going to want it, or a global company that has offices all over. So at some point, you're probably going to have to decide, well, am I going to turn down that contract? Because unless you're going to use Duolingo and learn Mandarin in the next, 3 weeks, you probably can't deliver it. So ask yourself, what kind of business do you want to have? Because if you want to do the work, there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't care about scaling, do the work, have a blast. Just know you're not going to close global companies, and maybe sometimes not going to have dinner with your family because you are constantly, on location with your clients, or working on the weekends to catch up because you worked all during the week in the classroom. You get a chance to decide, but I would say it starts with what business and lifestyle and income do you want? That may help people to get over their IP issues. And by the way, anyone can steal your IP anytime, including internal people. So don't think your IP is safe just because you haven't trained anybody else to deliver it. I will never forget losing out on a keynote spot because they already had somebody doing a breakout session on Frog, my brand, Forever Recognize Others' Greatness. And I thought, that's strange because I own the trademark. And they're like, well, we're not going to pay for a keynote when we can get it for nothing in a breakout. I just went, okay, I'm not your person.
What did you do in that situation? Tell us, because I think people now, I can't change to a different question without going a little bit deeper down that rabbit hole. What happened? Did you reach out to that other person? Was there legal action? How do you navigate that?
No, you know what? I just decided that this is the impact I'm trying to have in the world. I want to do myself out of a job. I want recognition hardwired into everybody's relationship, every workplace, every association, that they don't need me anymore. So I thought, maybe this is happening faster than I needed it to. Now, on the surface, it seems like somebody's playing dirty, or maybe they just didn't know any better. It's a brand new person who had heard about it and they thought, oh, that's a cool idea. So imitation's the best form of flattery, I think is what they said. And probably if it were this huge, I know if it were a huge company where they are now trying to go to market and market right product, then absolutely. You can't be making hundreds of thousands of dollars on a trademark that I own in Canada and the US. However, those of you who are looking at trademarking or who own a trademark, it's only trademarked in the countries it's trademarked in. So I only own the trademark in 2 countries, because guess how much money it would be to trademark it across, multiple countries. Or if, let's say you do work in a few other continents. Well, great. Well, maybe you want to trademark it in a few. But man, you better sell a lot because that's expensive and a lot of time too.
I think the advice you offered before about getting really clear on what business model is the right one for you, not for everyone, but for you. What do you want out of life? What do you want to be doing? What do you enjoy? Where's the fulfillment going to come from? It's such an important question that oftentimes people don't lead with, but it's amazing how clear you can get and how you can really start to figure out what should my next steps be based on the clarity and confidence that comes from asking yourself those questions. So I'm really glad that you brought those up. When you look at the last kind of 6 to 12 months in your business, Sarah, is there anything that you've done that you feel has had a really big impact on the business or on the success you've seen, or being able to increase fees? Just anything that you've done that you, looking at it now, go, wow, doing that really led to a major increase in revenue or something else that you just feel, again, is an overall positive impact in the business?
Well, I've really been growing the team and I don't have them employed full time. I have amazing people that I either pay for their hours or a commission based structure. So I have the sales piece is a speaker manager. I keep struggling with the words because she's so much more than a speaker manager, but that's what her title is. She's a speaker manager. And she works with me and only two other speakers, but I'm her primary speaker. I have a learning specialist who helps me. So every event that I am on virtually, speaking as a keynoter or as a webinar or as a training session, she's on there. She puts links in the chat. She answers questions. I'll make promises to a group and say, you know what? I have a resource called such and such. We'll make sure we get it to you. And she'll make a note behind the scenes and then she'll send within an hour of the session over to the head planner, or when it's a contract where she has everybody's email, to the whole group of folks, which makes my life easier. I can be this uber focused on my job of serving them. And then I can find additional ways to serve without me going, oh, you know what, Sarah, don't offer that because you've got a session right after this. You may not remember to send it and you'll break your promise. I have a virtual assistant who, again, I've worked really hard to find the right virtual assistant. I've had many and she's great. And she's actually building her business. And so she does all of my newsletters. She proofs it. She sends things out on social for me. I do a lot of my own social because my voice is LinkedIn is my social media platform. I, want people to feel like I'm talking to them. However, when I write an article, LinkedIn article, my blog post article, she can be the one who sends it out to all the different channels. So she schedules that. I have a videographer and a photographer. So as I'm launching a huge new website, every single image is original, no stock photography. We spent days, short videos, longer form videos, pictures. Even she's instructed my team on how to do their own headshots at home, and then she's editing it. I never begrudge a single penny I invest in those amazing women. All of the women, not intentional, all of them women, although I'm proud feminists, that we do have a great team. Every penny's worth it because every penny demonstrates your level of professionalism and allows you to charge what you're worth. Say no respectfully if somebody's not willing to pay you what you're worth, because you're putting in your money and time into your business and to deliver amazing quality value, even if it's free value like videos or, vlogs, video blog.
Did you always feel that way? You're obviously investing in your brand, right? Considerably. You're creating this perception of value, this image in the marketplace, which, as you said, helps to support when you want to charge premium fees and just be known as a premium provider of the expertise that you have. Is that something that you always just came natural to you, or did at some point in the development, I know you've been running your business since 2014, I believe. Was there a point in time where a switch got flipped and you decided, you know what, yeah, I need to invest more. I can't just kind of get by with the minimal amount, or were you always like that?
Well, I had a father who is an entrepreneur and I never saw him. So I decided that I wasn't going to have a business. To go back to that earlier discussion about decide on the kind of business you want. I love my dad. He worked so hard for us. My mom raised us. And so that was a different relationship than we have as a dual income family. Plus, I came out of corporate working as a senior leader and I worked way too many hours. So I was not going to be completely exhausted in my business. So I hired a bookkeeper right away. Before I made $1, I hired a bookkeeper because I'm not good at that stuff. I don't want to ever be audited by CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, for those of you who aren't Canadian. And also I just, I wanted to manifest that this business was going to be profitable. So I hired a bookkeeper to handle all the profits that I didn't actually have because I didn't have any clients yet. So that was the first thing. The other thing is I invested in an accountant to do the books when I had books to do, and also to incorporate the business. So again, before I had a single dollar, I was already in the in the red because I knew I wanted to be able to have the tax shelter of up to 5 years of not making money and then potentially have used that loss towards income. I have not yet had a year with a loss, not the first year business, not as soon as COVID happened when all my speaking engagements got canceled or postponed. So those are the things I would not begrudge the expense ever. And I've always had a bookkeeper ever since, that I hired that person. Then the very next hire was a virtual assistant because I'm not detail oriented. You have to know what you're not good at. So know all the things that you hate to do. For some people, it's social media. They're very private. They're very introverted. They detest social media. So hire a social media person. Maybe you want to do your own books, but somebody does your social. So know what isn't your gift. Know what would, because you're going to stand in the way of your own business success. If you don't want to do the books, you're probably not going to work hard to sell. If you don't want to create, let's say you hate writing, hire somebody who can do some content writing or buy a really amazing content writing AI tool that can at least get you part of the way there so that you're doing what you need to do for your business. So just purchase the tools and hire the people to get out of your own way so that your business can keep growing and being successful. And then you'll enjoy it so much more too.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. When you look at your performance on a daily basis, Sarah, what are one or two things that you do that are habits that really contribute to the success and productivity and performance that you see on a daily, weekly basis?
Well, we use a Trello board to keep ourselves organized as a team, and I use that for my own. So part of it is that things that are on the to-do list today get off the list. And I always, unless there is a really good reason, get back to my team within the same day, preferably within the same, hour or two. Email zero is my goal every single day. So I don't have any emails that aren't dealt with. Anything that is a to-do gets put into Trello board so that it gets filed. And so I want to leave the office with no emails in my inbox. I want to have minimum 1 month of content curated and in the queue that I've proofread or asked somebody else on my team to give a second look at so that it is ready to go. And I never have to worry if all of a sudden, let's say I get sick, that I will break my promise to my membership subscribers and not have content. And then if I want to create something really timely, I can either modify a post and the other, honestly though, the most important thing, goes back to my dad as my role model of a successful entrepreneur. However, the lifestyle thing being a different goal for me, I have to leave the office at the time that I said I was going to. So for me, it's 4:30 today because my husband and I have a snowshoeing date and it's a beautiful day. And I have an app that holds me accountable to how many steps and how much my calorie intake is, water intake. You can't lie to an app. What we measure matters. If well-being matters to me, I better start measuring it. And that's what I've started to do over the last 6 months. Game changer in work-life balance.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm with you on many of those things. And how about in the last 6 months, a top book? Could be fiction, nonfiction, just anything that you've read or listened to that you've really enjoyed. It's been inspiring, motivational, or helpful in some way.
I have been consuming books like I have not been consuming carbs. So, this has been my carb replacement. No, I'm sure. I still like carbs, but my favorite book so far, of 2022, is Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. Last year, my top book was Book of Joy, which was also the Buddhist. I'm not Buddhist. I don't have a specific faith. However, the insights there are very relatable content for those of us who are trying to ground ourselves in what is goodness, what is hope, what is generosity, what is love, and what is being able to be a high performance person with also being a really good human and unapologetically allowing us to be both of those things. So, I've such a long list of books, but that would be the one that if a reader had to go out and read, besides, of course, I'm biased about my books, but, really go get Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk. In fact, if you like audiobooks, listen to it because he reads it himself and he's so pumped about his own book.
He has a very nice accent. I'll give you that.
He does.
Nice British accent. So fantastic. Sarah, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Before we wrap up, I want to make sure that people can learn more about you, your work, your book, all that good stuff. Where's the one place that they should go to check that all out?
Come over to greatnessmagnify.com. And if you're coming over at the end of March, it'll be a much nicer website than right now, but hey, come on over and then come back and then join me on LinkedIn because I'm super active there. A lot of my intellectual property, my content, the conversations we're having, and I'd love to be connected. In fact, I think that's how we got connected, isn't it?
Yeah, somebody connected us. Yeah, exactly. I have to think about try to remember who that was, but that's how it works, right? It's just connecting with good people and you get new connections. So appreciate you coming on here today, Sarah, sharing some of your story and journey with us. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Success Podcast. For more episodes and to subscribe, rate, and leave a review, head on over to iTunes. And if you'd like to develop consistent lead flow and a highly profitable consulting business, learn more about our coaching programs at consultingsuccess.com.